Nicola Sturgeon sends Ian Blackford to plot with the EU against no-deal Brexit, and we'll give you the facts about an Australian-style WTO Brexit. Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Do you guys remember after the 2016 EU referendum when Nicola Sturgeon, all the SNP MPs, with some obviously Lib Dems and Labour MPs, decided to hold informal discussions behind the UK government's back with the European Union to stop Brexit at the time? That didn't really go well. We even had obviously Nicola Sturgeon meeting with Charles Michel, we had her meeting with Juncker and Michel Barnier, and we even had her sending Ian Blackford with people like Vince Cable and a number of other Ramonas to go to Brussels to try their best to stop Brexit. Luckily that didn't go well. Well, they're back. Because clearly the first tactic worked so well for the Remainers that Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP government have now sent Ian Blackford to hold more informal discussions with Michel Barnier's team, this time to stop no-deal Brexit. Yeah, so the leader of the SNPs in Westminster, Ian Blackford, has held informal discussions with EU diplomats as the Scottish government became increasingly frustrated over Boris Johnson's handling of negotiations. You mean winning at negotiations? Oh. But Downing Street have now said that the European Union would have to change its stance for negotiations on a post-Brexit deal to resume. Well, firstly, this is quite silly. The first time these guys did this, they went to Brussels with all the other Ramona MPs to have these informal discussions to plot against the UK government. Didn't really go well because the European Union officials, at the end of the day, they're bureaucrats. They're a bunch of bureaucrats who have to follow their own weird regulations and rules. So they couldn't obviously, at the end of the day, make any deal, any formal deal with those guys. Any formal agreement should have been between the EU and the UK government. But Ian Blackford is not giving up. Yeah, so he has said that we really should recoil at the possibility of a no-deal Brexit when we're going through a health pandemic, when there are significant risks to our economy, where people are losing their jobs. This is just putting misery on misery, and quite frankly, the government has got to come to its senses. And then, yeah, obviously he's warning about food shortages and medicines and lizards taking over the world, and obviously Netflix becoming even more woke because of Brexit. Everything's happening because of Brexit. Yeah, it's all serious. At the same time, you remember obviously yesterday on Monday, Michel Barnier said that he wants to come to London to resume the talks, and Lord Frost told him not to bother. And so the Monday talks got cancelled. These guys are not giving up because he eventually called Lord Frost yesterday to have a chat with him and beg him to send some EU people, from Brussels to London on Wednesday. Yeah, so Michel Barnier has now spoken to David Frost. He tweeted that, as stated by President von der Leyen on Friday, I confirmed that the EU remains available to intensify talks in London this week on all subjects and based on legal texts. We now wait for the UK's reaction. Oh, that's interesting, considering the Thursday deadline that we had last week for no-deal Brexit was primarily because of this. The UK government asked the EU to intensify the talks, to simply negotiate for a Canada-style trade deal, and also based on legal texts. Now these guys are basically pretending, oh, we always wanted that. We always wanted to talk about legal texts, and we always wanted to just intensify the talks. Really? Nothing to do with the fact that Boris Johnson's now walked away from the trade talks, right? And when you have people like Hilary Benn, who happens to be the chair of the Brexit Select Committee, so he needs to know how these sort of things actually work, lying to the public about how Brexit, especially Australian-style WTO Brexit, actually works. Yeah, so obviously Hilary Benn, who was a chief Ramona in Parliament, and still is obviously, he's now chairing the Brexit Committee. He's now said that there is no such thing as an Australian-style deal. There's no obviously relationship between Australia and the European Union. According to Hilary Benn, there isn't such thing as an Australian-style deal because it's just trading on World Trade Organization terms. You might as well call it a Somalia-style deal or an Afghanistan-style deal. It's nonsense. What? That makes absolutely no sense. Because So you have Australia, who's the top member of the WTO, and there is a reason we say a WTO Brexit could be an Australian-style Brexit, because there is such thing as an Australian-style deal, according to the European Union. Yes, according to the Treaties Office of the European Union themselves, there are currently 86 individual treaties between Australia and the European Union. Now, this ranges from various areas, various sectors, on Australian wine, on air services, on obviously security cooperation and their border recognition. There are all these areas. You can actually go on the website yourself, scroll down the list of all the bilateral and multilateral agreement that both sides currently have. And this guy, Hilary Benn, is saying that no, it's the same relationship that Somalia has with the European Union, or Afghanistan has with the European Union. Also, what is this obsession that the EU and Remainers have with people who are not from Europe or just not white? Because back during the referendum, we actually had leaflets from the Conservatives in campaign, the Remainer side, who were essentially being proud that the European Union stopped thousands and thousands of non-white and non-European families from entering Europe. Yeah, that's not good, is it? Now, on the other hand, obviously, as we said, Barnier has spoken to Frost about asking to come to London on Wednesday, but seems like Boris Johnson's office haven't changed their mind. They've said, yeah, it could come. They could come, obviously, without Barnier, but we're still not going to talk. According to the government, they said that the phone call was obviously kind of constructive, but they said that the UK has noted that the EU's proposal to genuinely intensify the talks, which is what would be expected at this stage in negotiations. However, the UK continues to believe that there is no basis to resume talks unless there is a fundamental change of approach from the EU. This means an EU approach consistent with trying to find an agreement between sovereign equals and with acceptance that movement needs to come from the EU side as well as the UK. And as we said earlier, Tom Newton-Dunn has confirmed that the EU says that its officials are still coming to London on Wednesday for talks without Michel Barnier, because clearly he's been the biggest problem in this whole situation. And then going back to Ian Blackford, this guy, I don't understand why he thinks he's now supposed to be the king of SNP in Westminster, because obviously Nicola Sturgeon is the Queen of Scotland, if you didn't know. He's now gone on a rant about protectionism. He said that what we've had is a UK government who simply haven't taken seriously the desire to get around the table with the European Union and get a deal that protects consumers, that protects businesses, that keeps us aligned to the single market and the customs union. So obviously, there we have it, everybody. Single market and the customs union. This is a rant about protectionism. He literally used the word protect twice in one sentence. We know exactly what that means, Ian. This is absolutely typical. These are also the same people who said after the 2016 referendum, over the last few years, and even before that, that you vote to leave, and when you officially leave, foreign companies, especially from Europe, aren't really going to be trading with the UK. The United Kingdom will be an isolated nation, blah, blah, blah. We reported on this channel over the last couple of days that we have thousands of European firms starting their UK office in London and across the country. But also, let's look at one sector that's doing even better than Europe. Yes, the UK video game sector has now hit the record size, despite obviously the whole health situation and despite Brexit. Also, just look at this headline, Sky News. They have subtly put the two words, despite and Brexit, in the same sentence without people actually realizing. Yeah, well done, Sky. Yes, so the video games industry in Britain has now grown to record levels over the past year and at the fastest rate in more than a decade. So obviously this is according to the Independent Games Developers Association, who said that more than 1,740 jobs were added to the sector, which is now generating tax revenues of £907 million annually. It's added that the sector is now contributing £2.2 billion to the UK GDP. Oh yes, Brexit is such an isolationist movement. It's so bad that all these companies from Japan and America, all these video obviously companies and developers are coming here, not Europe. They're not going to Berlin. They're not going to Paris. All their headquarters are moving here. All the big projects Even Hollywood, a number of movies, obviously because of the lockdown, they've all stopped now, but they still see the UK as a home for a number of sectors, where there's finance, where there's tech. Obviously, we still are a tech hub in terms of globally and especially in Europe. So stop spreading lies, Remainers. And Ian Blackford, you're not the king of SNP in Westminster. Stop trying. But I just wanted to give you the facts, especially when it comes to the Australian-style WTO Brexit. Hillary Benn is wrong. We are right. The European Union's website is right. And just wanted to give you this. And thanks again for watching. The next video, I'm going to tell you, talk about the row between Michael Gove and Theresa May, who's now a rebellious backbencher, who's now, again, a Remainer. Because for a while, she was a Brexiteer. So make sure to check that out. Subscribe to the channel. The next video is coming out at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.